Hello and welcome to the Armory Review Show, hosted by Arsenal Cape Town. I'm Alex Marsh. We're here with my co-host Naseem Terblanche, who's sitting in the dark.
In the
Is
dark.
your power
thank you,
not back
Eskom.
on yet?
It came back on and then it just went off again. Like I said, joys of living in SA, eh? Jeez, it's the most frustrating thing on earth.
Yeah, sorry we're a bit late, guys. There is load shedding for you, and also having a little bit of a problem with our slides at the moment, and that we're not able to upload them. So yeah, not a great start to the show. Sorry about that.
Nope,
but
not
how
a
you
great
feeling?
start.
How you feeling after the weekend's? Well, Friday night. So.
Friday night's result. In all honesty, I'm actually not too disappointed. Like I'm upset, but not where I'm ranting and raving and very like throwing my toys out of the cot. Upset. It was. Look, at the end of the day, Manchester City is a better team than us. They've got. They I think starting 11 we can match them 1-for-1, but squad depth wise they're a lot better than us, and at the end of the day they're the finished article. We are a process. And to go there with a very much B starting lineup and only losing 1-0 and Haaland not scoring, I mean it took a left back for them to win the game. So yeah, it is what it is, and but I think I'm happy with us concentrating on the league.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So should we bring in our guests?
Yes, we can.
We have Gavin. How are you doing, Gavin?
Very, very well, thanks. Nice to be here, Alex, as well as Naseem.
Yeah, and
I've survived. Well, I've got out of load shedding at least over the last 20 minutes.
That's a positive start.
And it's a little dark, but you might hear the crickets behind me. But enjoy it. That's what living in Africa is about.
Nice. We also have Mark. How are you doing, Mark?
Hi, folks.
For those of you who haven't seen Mark on the show before, Mark works at Arsenal Football Club. And for the benefit of those people, Mark, do you want to explain what your role is at Arsenal?
Yeah, so I'm the supporter liaison officer. So I'm the link between the club and the fans, basically. Frontline link, I would say, as well. And so I go to every single game, home and away. I look after all our supporters clubs around the world. Also get involved in things like the fans forum and the advisory board. And one of the big projects I've been working on recently that's just come to conclusion was the new artwork on the outside of the stadium, which everyone is very excited about, obviously.
Yeah, great.
And we've got no crickets here.
When is the new what do you call it? The new artwork. When's that supposed to be released on the stadium?
Yeah, so I think the first two cores are done already. So I think they might even have got the third one up today.
Right.
So over the next couple of weeks it'll be dripped in, So I think it's all systems go. We had a bit of a hold up in that it was too windy, and then secondly it was too cold because of the stadium's mainly concrete. The stadium sort of contracts and expands with the weather, and they went to put it up, and the stadium was suddenly too small. So all these little things you never think about, I suppose, but from a logistical point of view, it's a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah. So was that a problem then with the previous artwork then? Once it was up. There was contracting.
Yeah, definitely. I know they've had problems, and it affects the whole stadium. When we have a really cold snap, everything just seems to stop working. So it's the joys of the British weather.
Are you happy with all the designs that are going on?
I think fantastic. I mean, I was in the process from day one. And the first meeting we was in, I mean, my main thing was to get as varied a supporter base together to discuss it. And I sat in that first meeting and I thought, how on earth are they ever going to pull everyone's ideas together? Because obviously, everyone's got a different opinion of what Arsenal means to them, etc. And I really just sat there and thought, this is like, well, I just couldn't understand how they were going to do it. And the guys come back, the artist and the various people that were involved on that side, and I just think it's incredible what they've done. So I had one chap come to me afterwards when they were revealed and said about Cliff Bastin that his socks were the wrong colour, and I was just like, I can't, you just. It should have been blue and white hoops on his socks rather than red and white.
Right, a little bit pedantic there.
Yeah, so that one slips past us. But apart from that, every seems to be almost unanimous approval for what's going up. So
I was really impressed with the artwork that I've seen. So, very good.
Yeah, can I just say that it's fantastic. I mean, the pictures that I've seen, the launch. I mean, you must have been involved in that as well, because I saw the video of the launch with everyone there. Seeing their pictures for the first time. It must have been quite an experience. But I think, hats off to everyone involved, including yourself, I guess, and the artists. They've just depicted, I believe, everything that what Arsenal stands for, what the legends stand for, and who we are. So if you're wondering how it all came together, the fact that it has, as it has, is remarkable and fantastic. So well done.
Yeah, I think that the launch night was an incredible event, and the sort of I suppose it's aided by the fact that the team's doing well, but the sense that everyone's together and pushing forward into a new era. You could really sense it. There was none of the divisions that we've had over the last few years, or up until about 18 months ago. It was just a purely positive feeling, young, middle-aged, and old, all together. And it was really, really great. And there were people there who, were on the wall, and were just genuinely shocked and surprised. I mean, I met. Talking to the Bastins, I met Cliff Bastin's grandchildren, Eddie Hapgood's family, Ted Drake's family. So, it was going right back in time. And we even had some people from David Danskin's family, the founder of the club. So, it literally everyone right from the very first to the current day were there, and there was the captain turned up, which was really good, and he got bombarded with people saying, "Look, just beat Spurs on Sunday," which I think he got the message. So it was a great night, one of the best nights I've been involved with since I worked there, I must say, and one of the best projects as well, if not the best.
Do you get a feeling now that there's more unity than there ever has been at Arsenal Football Club, or as much unity as there was sort of in the early Wenger years?
Yeah, I suppose that you'd say the glory years of Wenger, that was the only time when you'd probably feel the same. Maybe as well. I mean, we can all go back in time, but the early years of George Graham as well. I think it's more akin to those early years of George Graham, because a young team. Added, most of the stars have been weeded out now. Which is the same as George did when he first came in. We've got a younger crowd in the stadium as well, which is very similar to when George Graham took over. There was a huge influx of new fans at that stage. so I see a lot of parallels with the George Graham team. Yeah, I mean, what have I been? I've been there nearly 9 years now, and it's definitely the best since I've been working there, and something that we've been working and trying to achieve for a long time. And obviously, Mikel's been the main catalyst to drive that forward.
Warren's just mentioned there about the Ashburton Army, them being great over in the clock end. The Ashburton Army, they're not part of Arsenal Football Club, are they? They're their own independent thing. But do they not get a season ticket allocation given to them?
No, they're so I've been working with them now for about 3 years, and there's a core group there, and what we've done is we've allocated them about 100 tickets at the front of the clock end. So they're all through their memberships. They're all red and silver members. So they're not really getting any privileges. It's just that we've managed to group them together in one spot.
Right.
So they don't come without their issues. They as I try and sort of say to people at the club, you've got to remember when you were 18, 19, 20 years old, and they are young lads in the main, and they just want to support the team. The issue they've got is that when these things happen, they tend to attract elements that are probably not what we want or what they want. So whereas their core thing is to support the team through thick and thin, there's a few people that hang on the outside who might have more nefarious objectives, I would say, and that's caused a few issues with pyrotechnics and trouble outside the ground and things like that. So we're trying to steer them away from that. And to be fair to them, the main hardcore group are just not interested in all that sort of stuff. They, as I say, they just want to support the team. So a good bunch of lads and lasses, and more power to them. I feel, if I was 40 years younger, I'd be standing with them. That's for sure.
Yeah. Do you find that with supporters clubs that are asking for tickets, a lot of them want tickets in that end, in the clock end? Is there more demand for them?
Well, this is it. This is the thing. What we're finding is people obviously buying tickets, and then they're trying to migrate into that area, and it's one seat per person, and that does cause issues. So that's the thing we're going to have. We are managing. But supporters clubs generally tend to be a bit of an older crowd, so to be sitting in amongst the Ashburton Army probably wouldn't be their ideal choice. So they tend to go up a tier or maybe a little slightly further back and away from the Ashburton. Because they never sit down and they never stop banging that drum. I had.
Is the drum allowed in the stadium?
Yeah, we got the drum.
Is
it?
Yeah. No. I'm just. I hear the drum all the time. I'm just wondering if it's actually allowed. So, that was the question that Andre put there.
No, I think I did have one lady complain to me a couple of games ago, and I said to her, but how long have you been sitting in your seat? And she said, about 10 years. I said, well, the drum's been there for the last 2 years. And she just went, well, it just seems much louder now. And I went, well, maybe he's a better drummer, or you've taken your earbuds out or something. I don't know, but so it's there, yeah. So
excellent,
cool.
Right. Yeah, go on. Sorry,
I actually wanted to ask Mark. Okay, so I don't know if you guys covered this because I haven't been on the show for a while now. How was the reception of Arsene Wenger being at the stadium for the first time since he's left? I mean, from the fans' point of view, I mean, I can tell you, it brought a tear to my eye seeing them watching on TV. So I can just imagine how everybody else in the stadium felt. So,
well, it was quite funny, really, because I was standing down by the players' entrance. We always do a pre-match greet for the players as they get off the coaches, and we always have a guest supporters club along to that. And I was standing there, and this like executive Mercedes car pulls up, and a tall, slim, grey-haired man gets out, and I'm looking, and I'm thinking, that looks like Arsene Wenger. And not being the sharpest tool in the box these days, I'm looking and I'm going, that is Arsene Wenger. And I saw Sean, who runs London Colney, and he started walking towards him, and I said, Sean, is that? And he said, yes, it's Arsene Wenger. So yeah, I think it was a big emotional thing. Apparently his daughter told him that he had to go. She made him go to the game. But I think once he was there, he really enjoyed himself. Once people realised that he was there, the love was full on. So yeah, it was a great day, and hopefully he'll be back more regularly now. We've got a statue ready for him, but he's got to come to the unveiling. So he's getting that over the line at the minute.
Really,
I've got a question about the statue thing. When is Ian Wright getting his one? I think he deserves one.
Well, but then again, does David Rocastle?
there's a few.
There's so many. It's so I'm sure once the Arsenal one's out of the way, we'll look at what we can do next. These discussions are always ongoing, but there's always someone with a counter argument as to who should be the next one. So
I think we need to do it a yearly thing. There's so many. I mean, you mentioned Rocastle. There's There's I think Dixon deserves one. Winterburn. I mean, that old back five deserves one.
Yeah.
So you can do one every year. Just have a row of statues.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do need to have room to move around.
Yeah.
An obstacle course of statues would be.
Yeah, that would be fun.
But they're all up on the wall. Don't forget, they're all up on the outside of the stadium.
Yeah.
So
okay. I haven't been to the stadium, so I don't know.
But have you seen the artwork?
The artwork on display on there, wasn't it? All the new artwork.
I didn't see all the new artwork, so no.
Go check that out. Right, we'll move on now because otherwise we're going to run out of time. And so we've got an anagram for people. So here's the anagram. Isla lacks neon. That's the anagram for today. You guys have got until the end of the show to figure that out. Towards the end of the show, when we'll reveal the answer. If you can get it now, feel free to put it in the comments. Right, let's talk about the FA Cup. Oh, I've just seen a comment there from Mark Glithrow. Dixon, seriously, what are you thinking? I love Lee Dixon. How dare you?
Hey, Mark.
He's one of my favourite players of all time, Lee Dixon.
Mark, like I said, that back five, I mean, they all deserve it, man. They all deserve that statue.
Right, the FA Cup. Right. Who was disappointed that we're out of the FA Cup? Gavin, we'll start with you.
Well, I think, you always want to win everything. But I think that there was, going into, when I saw the starting lineup, I realized that this wasn't necessarily a game that there was, Arteta was going to try and win. But he's got to be rotating these players. I mean, that's what the thing is, and I think I agree with Naseem really on the fact that we played out mainly what is our Europa team, our young guns for the Europa Cup team against what is essentially their first team squad, and we went toe to toe with them, literally, with two big chances in the first half. They got a goal. They snatched a goal away from us, but I wasn't. So at the end of the game, I didn't come away disappointed, even though I, of course, wanted to win. So I think there's been a lot of learnings. The learning that I think that Pep would take from this, that Aka can take care of Saka, and that's a worry. He wasn't given the space to move and do what he normally does. So I think on both sides, these are two very tactical managers that would have been looking at this as, let's test the waters because there's bigger things to come, But I think we came away with it, although no longer having a distraction of an extra games, which now City to have. We can concentrate on both the Premier League, and let's not forget about the Europa Cup. I mean, it's still something that's worth a challenge.
Yeah. Mark, do you think that the FA Cup exit could boost our chances of winning the league?
Well, I think it's a hard one to quantify really, because I don't think you can ever turn around and say that you'd want to lose a game. And I think the fact that we took over 7,000 supporters up to Manchester on a Friday night showed what the fans feel about the FA Cup. We are the record holders, 14 wins. But having said that, I think we gave it a fair crack. If luck had been a little bit with us, the early chances that we had, obviously Trossard had a good shot that was well saved. It was quite a tight game, really, wasn't it? It was not like, there was not a lot happening, really. I think both sides, neither side really fancied a replay, that's for sure. But yeah, and I agree, Saka had probably had his toughest test of the season. But there's a lot more to come out of that confrontation in future matches, I feel, and also what it did do was free up Trossard on the other side a little bit more, and I thought he played really well for his debut. Yeah, as you said, it was tactically it was interesting, and I'm sure both managers took a lot out of it. But the big one is on in the middle of February. Obviously, if we win that at home, then I think it's game on.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say something about the fans. I mean, you guys were obviously there, so you didn't hear it on TV. It sounded like we were at home for that first 20 minutes of the first half. You'd swear we were at the Emirates. That 7,000 people were that loud. They were
Mark, were you there?
Yeah. So I mean,
so was I. Yeah.
City have got a funny fan base, and
well put, Mark. It's very diplomatic.
From what I could see on ticket forums, because I went there with my son and with the away fans, and from what I could see in ticket forums, a lot of people were getting tickets to that game, Arsenal fans, but in the Man City end as well, and by the sounds of their crowd, I'm pretty sure half that crowd was probably Gooners, because they weren't making any noise.
Yeah, I just. Well, the interesting thing is when you look at the Emirates, the lower tier is nearly all standing all the way around there. Just down the sideline, probably they all sit all game. Whereas at City, they all sit, apart from behind the goal. But and it just seems more of a, the Premier League as a whole has an issue in that it is a bit of a tourist league now, Emirates, Stamford Bridge, White Hart Lane, they're all the same. You see so many tourists at games, it tends to quieten things down. And I think City have got a big contingent of people who just coming for the game for the weekend. They say they're City fans, but are they really? I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny because I live not too far away from Manchester now, and you'd expect with the amount of success that City have had, that a lot of the young generation would be City supporters. I live pretty much equidistant to Old Trafford and the Etihad Stadium, but yeah, all of the kids in my son's class, or in my son's year group, in fact, at school, all Man United fans. Absolutely no City fans at all. Which is quite surprising, really.
Yeah, we're starting to get a few down south, though. Are you? I get a few, because I'm still involved in youth football locally, and you get a few kids turning up in City shirts, and me being the mean individual I am, I question them, and they're like, oh, well, but they win things, and you're like, oh yeah, and then I say to their dads, how are you allowing this, So it's yeah. So you know, there will come a stage. You know, I mean, you look around. Like, sorry, you will look around London there, and we missed out on a generation. I would say we were the dominant club in London as far as support is concerned for quite a while, and kids were always being Arsenal supporters if they weren't Liverpool or Man United. And the only real opponent to that in my area, because I live out east, was West Ham. And that's more from a family point of view. You know, your parents are West Ham, so you all support West Ham. But Arsenal don't. But Chelsea have crept in now. You know, and it is, you know, if you win things, you're going to get the support. So
yeah, certainly globally, I would say.
Yeah.
I think outside of the UK, people tend not to have that geographical sort of allegiance to a football club like they do in England. So it's a case of who are you seeing on the Champions League fixtures? Who's winning who's the team winning the Premier League? Well, that's the team they're going to support. Generally, that's how it goes, isn't it?
Definitely.
Just touching on the youth development, or the youth in general. Have you seen Man City's youth academy and their setup there? And do you know how that compares to Arsenal's at the moment?
Yeah, I think they're pretty strong. They're you know, I suppose all the big clubs now heavily invest in their youth development. I know City were running a scheme where they were putting their youth players in the local one of the good schools in Manchester, and basically offering them scholarships. So there's various ways and means that they try and attract players in. Now with Brexit, then you've got to look much closer to home. There was a stage where the likes of Chelsea, which is hoovering up every sort of good young player in Europe, but they can't do that anymore. So in London, it's massively competitive. Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs are obviously the big names. West Ham traditionally have got a very good academy. They've always been good with their young players, and even teams like Millwall, who, you know, for years when I was growing up, the top three academies were Arsenal, West Ham, and Millwall. So you know, so Millwall and Crystal Palace these days will attract. Crystal Palace have got a huge catchment area in South London, because Charlton have faded away now. So Palace have got that area pretty much sewn up, because you have to live within, I think it's an hour of the training ground to be able to go up to a certain age. So most of the clubs as well have like satellite branches around London, and they try and get people in that way. So yeah, it's very, very highly competitive. So we've got the Youth Cup on Monday night. We're playing Watford away. So I'll be going to that, and that's with Jack Wilshere, is the manager of that team. So they've got some good young players, some very exciting young players. But you never know what's going to happen with these guys. It's still a long way to the first team, isn't it?
But it is a very long way. Yeah. As a percentage, how many of, say, you know, the under 18s actually make it as professional footballers?
Well, I've been told it's as low as 1 in 100.
Wow.
So I don't know whether that's not an Arsenal figure. That's generally across the board. So you know, it's very, very, very competitive.
Yeah, that is.
I think the thing with the Arsenal academy, sorry, is that you look at it, and the amount of players playing in the Football League and even the Premier League who are ex-Arsenal academy players. So they might not be quite good enough for Arsenal, but they do get a career out of it. There's huge numbers in the lower divisions. So I think we do a good job.
Yeah. Speaking of lower divisions, did anyone see that Wrexham Sheffield United game yesterday? That was epic. That was a great game of football. Has anyone seen the Wrexham Welcome to Wrexham documentary?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's very good.
Funny enough, that documentary makes me actually watch Wrexham in the FA Cup, just seeing how they're doing. I've
Me
never
too,
heard
actually.
of them.
I've sort of got
I've
a little bit wrapped
never
up in this
ever
whole
heard of
Wrexham
them.
story.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
one of my friends at
Yep.
school actually supported Wrexham when we were growing up. So,
I've
he's a
never
big Wrexham
ever.
fan. Literally the only Wrexham fan in school. But yeah,
I was hoping that they'd win yesterday, and that would
that was.
Every time the cup comes around and Wrexham are in it, they go back to that match where they beat us in the third rounds, and
I never heard the end of that for years.
But there's an incident in that after Jimmy Carter scores for Arsenal in the last minute, and if you watch it back, I still, for the life of me, cannot work out why it was disallowed. So yeah, the fates were not with us that day.
No. It gives you that documentary itself gives you quite a good insight into what it is like at playing in the bottom leagues. Though I mean that is the lowest tier of professional football, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's not particularly glamorous, is it?
No. Well, Wrexham itself isn't particularly glamorous.
No, that is true. Wrexham have just banned you from entrance.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Do I look concerned?
Right, going back to that Arsenal game, we've gone off piste a little bit there. We've talked about the starting lineup. Gavin, were you happy to see Trossard start?
Yeah, absolutely, and even more delighted to see how he started and how he played. I mean, he runs at players. And it's happened so. I mean, it was to be expected because he was already, everyone was talking about him being Premier League ready, and that's what made this buy such a good buy. He was hardly even in training, and the next thing he's in the starting lineup, and the next thing he's performing, and the next thing he's running at players and and creating chances and could have scored. So not only was I happy to see him start, I was also happy to see him play as well as he did. I felt that Vieira didn't really have a good game either, and I don't know what we're going to do about. He's not listed here. Who's the other guy?
I know who you mean, and we'll talk about him later. I thought Trossard was great. I've actually forgotten the name of that guy that Chelsea spanked all their money on, because Trossard was that good.
Yes, exactly. And we didn't spend 100 million quid.
No, do you think it was a bargain at 20 odd mil?
Absolutely. But look at what Brighton have bought players for. I mean, I think if you go back to I don't know what they paid for Trossard, but some of their players, I think it was 2.5 or something ridiculously cheap. Was that? Am I right? I know it wasn't a lot of money.
Yeah, apparently
maybe I could have more info on that.
Their scouting network works on a system of whereas like you get a specific role in the team. So you could be this centre back scout, and you could be the wide midfielder scout. So they don't go out looking generally. They go out in particular and look for certain positions. So I think a lot of clubs will be looking at the system they use now because it's obviously working.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think that Trossard will start over Martinelli for key fixtures?
No, that's a good question. I wouldn't like to bet on that. I think it all depends but I think that we have two players that can come off and do the same job. I think is a real key, and what Arsenal needs is that kind of depth.
Do you think that Martinelli will learn a lot from Trossard? Because one thing I've noticed recently with Martinelli, I know he's great, and I love him to bits, but he seems to run out of ideas quite quickly. Do you think Trossard will maybe mentor him a little bit, or do you think it'll just be a battle for the position?
I don't know. I think you're right. It could be just a battle of position, but it's also about who he plays alongside and who feeds them. And who's bringing those crosses in. But yeah, they in some ways they play a similar game. Martinelli tends to hit it forward and run and chase because he's got the speed to do that. Whereas Trossard seems to be a little quicker on his feet. He's got those kind of skills that he can really dazzle backlines and cause a lot of problems.
I'm going to talk about this man now. Okay. I'm guessing that this is the guy that you were going to bring up, Sambi.
Now, I don't know what he needs to go on loan, doesn't he? I mean, he needs to go and get game time.
Do you know what? When he came at half time, when he came on, I could see the look in every supporter's face when they saw that Sammy was coming on, and they were like, "Oh no!" But on the ball, he's actually very good. I will stick my neck out there and say he is very good with the ball at his feet. He protects the ball well. He passes the ball well. It's for me, it's just out of possession and without the ball, he doesn't seem to know what to do. That's my opinion. Anyway,
my opinion on Lokonga is he's not the replacement for Thomas Partey.
But he was never brought in for that role, though, was he?
Yeah, he's more a Granit Xhaka type of player. He likes to go forward, where Partey is just happy to sit back and go forward when he needs to. And I think Sambi Lokonga is more a replacement for Granit Xhaka than he is for Thomas Partey. I think, that's just my 2 cents on him. I don't think he's a bad player. Alone might help, but if we don't get a good one, then I don't mind him staying. But I don't see him a direct replacement for Thomas Partey. I mean, he always, when Partey comes off, he comes on. So obviously, Arteta knows a lot more than me, so I'm not going to say anything there.
Mark, do you think he'd benefit from a loan?
Well, I think Gavin's got it right in that he needs game time. I suppose it's like any of us. If we were suddenly in our job and we didn't have to do anything for 6 months, and then we come back and day one you're supposed to drop in it at 100 mile an hour. Coming on in the second half against Man City when you've had very little football this season. There's no reserve team football these days. They don't go and play reserve team football when they're not in the first team squad. I would say it must be pretty tough. Very few players can just drop in and out and look like they've never been away. And he's a young lad. And so maybe a loan would work, but whatever way he needs to get game time. But I wouldn't give up on him just yet. That's for sure.
No, definitely not give up. There is a player in there. We just haven't seen enough of him.
Yeah, I was quite surprised at how good he was with the ball at his feet when I saw him the other night. It was just, it's just out of possession. Thomas Partey is a ball winner, isn't he? He breaks down the play, he wins the ball back, and I don't think Sam Lokonga is that type of player. But he's expected to play in that position, so it's going to be tough for him to just drop into that role, especially after, like you've all said, the lack of game time this season.
Yeah, that's why my shout for Declan Rice is warranted.
Declan Rice, interesting. One player that we have managed to get is this guy, Kiwior, from where does he come from? Spezia. Yes, that's it. Did anyone see this guy in the World Cup?
Yeah.
No,
I knew he was after a left-sided midfielder. Defender. Central defender, and I knew it was coming under the radar. So I think it was a good old traditional Arsenal signing where people were talking about loads of other people, and he come from very much from a quiet source. But I've already been told that he's showing some really good signs in training. They really like him. Another thing about him is his girlfriend is the European twerking champion or something.
Yep, she is indeed. Who's hands up? Who's checked out her Instagram?
So all we're hoping is that she doesn't tire him out too much.
Tell you what, by the looks of those moves, he wouldn't need to move much himself. So.
Look, I think he's the right age. I think for players that we're getting in, and he could develop into something. I haven't got an opinion at this point. I like that we're going after Casino, the other Brighton player, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. They want more money, don't they?
Oh, do you not think it's going to happen? Who does think it's going to happen?
Well, there was an offer and it was rejected, and then there's, then everyone else is going to, I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's worth the 70 million that they
Maybe Mark knows something we don't.
No, I know no more, but I think
he's
what happened. He's a good player, but
he is good.
But I think we're in the position now that we will, offer what we think they're worth, and if that does it, I mean the same happened with Mudryk, but I've been told about Mudryk that he was never going to come to Arsenal. There's something going on at Chelsea with, I think Abramovich may still have some influence. Shall we put it that way?
Yeah,
and the head of Shakhtar is pro-Russian rather than pro-Ukrainian. So,
right.
But that's just a rumor.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. I don't want any people knocking on my door.
I think we might get Caicedo. I think he might be a necessary purchase as well. That's just my thoughts. I hear we are about to table a third bid for him.
Yeah, I mean, is that going to win us the league? I mean, if it is, then 70 million quid is worth it.
Yeah. But well, I suppose you've got to consider, if Thomas Partey gets injured, which
he is,
judging by previous seasons, he often does get injured at key moments. Last season injured towards the back end of the season. As much as I don't want Thomas Partey to ever get injured, he does get injured. But then we've got Noel Nenny as a backup, have we? Because he's also on a long-term injury. So you go, well, what are our options then? Who's our ball-winning guy? Who's that guy who's going to potentially change a game? And
would you take him now and not get Declan in the summer?
I'd get them both.
Yeah.
I'd get Caicedo as a backup for Partey and Rice as a backup, or potentially it wouldn't be a backup for Xhaka. I think Xhaka would just get replaced by Declan Rice. I think it'd be rotation between the two of them. That's my thoughts anyway.
Yeah.
I can see Declan Rice being a box-to-box kind of guy, and Caicedo, but they can interchange. Declan Rice can also be that ball-winning midfielder if you need him to. He's multi-purpose, isn't he, Declan Rice? And he's going to command probably a hell of a lot of money as well, I should imagine.
Yep. Season ticket prices will go up.
Yeah.
Someone's got to pay for all this.
Yeah.
And that becomes Mark's problem with the fans, right?
Yeah, thanks.
Becomes my problem. Yeah, but we managed to sell out the stadium though. Are people going to moan that much of a ticket price increases if we're winning stuff, if we're competing, if we're in the Champions League, winning the league?
No, I don't think it will. And I think people are realistic at the minute. Inflation in the UK is up. Well, they say it's 10%, but I think we all know it's a bit higher than that. The costs for a football club have gone up by that amount. So I think everyone's expecting an increase for next season. If we do get Champions League, then that's obviously going to counterbalance any increase. in that we've got some big nights to look forward to.
Right, questions from the audience. Have we got any questions?
Actually, we don't, eh? Don't see anything.
Oh, damn.
Well, we don't have an audience, or
we've got
an audience. We've actually got a very. I think everybody was so intrigued by what Mark had to say about the club, and
does anyone have any? Right, does anyone have any questions for Mark or the panel or any
Gavin.
of us? Really?
Yeah.
Did you see the Balogun goal last night?
No.
Quick fire
yeah,
question.
I saw it.
I saw it. PSG, wasn't it? This late winner, late equaliser. Sorry.
It'd be interesting to see what happens with Flo, though, because we've had people come from the French league tearing it up in the recent past, and it's not really. It doesn't mean much. So.
No. You're
So,
not talking about our previous right winger, are you?
Yeah, maybe. But I think he would be another good option. But if, up front, if we are looking to sign another midfielder in the summer, as we've just alluded to the fact that there's only so much budget. So a top class striker might be out of our our scope. So Balogun could be an answer to that.
Okay, so we've got a couple of questions. First one's from Neil, directed at me. Okay, but everybody can answer this one. When will Arsenal be the finished article? So, geez, I think we're probably about 3 signings away.
That's what all the United fans say every single season. We're about two signings away.
I think. Well. I think the first 11 choose themselves. I think our starting 11 is good enough, but obviously they get tired, there's injuries and stuff like that. So we need a backup for Thomas Partey. We got Trossard now. I think we need somebody for Saka. I think another right-sided midfielder, and then obviously Declan and Rice, and that's about it. I mean. Eddie Nketiah is slowly changing my mind about him. I'm not there yet. I'm about 40% on his side now, so it's growing.
40.
40. Yeah, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet with Eddie, but he's doing well, and I'm glad he's proving me wrong. Same like Jesus. I wasn't happy with the Jesus signing. He came, did a job. I'm totally behind him. Glad that we signed him. So I'd say 3 signings: Saka backup, Thomas Partey backup. I can't even think where else we're short. I just hope Vieira comes good. He looks kind of out of place at the moment, but I hope that's just game time. He's obviously not having enough game time, but we're almost there. I think. Remember when I said Mikel Arteta took over the team, I said I give him 3 years and he should win the league after his 3rd season, and he might do it sooner. Let's hope.
Yeah, you've answered the question like a politician. When Naseem?
When are we the finished article? I can't give you a date. It depends. It depends. It could be this summer that Mikel Arteta's bought everything he needs, so it could be the summer, depending on what players come in. I still think the squad is light, so like I said, the starting 11 is probably the finished article already, and now it's just strengthening the squad. So I say by the summer, by start of next season, we will be sorted.
That's your answer.
Let's face it, when is any team the finished product? I mean,
it's always a work in progress.
There's always going to be tweaks, and there's always. I mean, Pep will not tell you that City is the finished product right now, because it's an ongoing process.
When you manage to win everything in a season, in a single season, then you've probably got the finished article.
You could be close to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Gavin, you're totally right. Again, we've got to get away from this mentality of there ever being a finished article, and I want us to win everything every season, and that means that we've just got to continue not being accepting. And we've got football always moves forward, and I think it's you see it not just at our club but other clubs as well. Things stagnate after a while, and I think they've got to be brave and keep moving forward all the time, which is after all is the club ethos. That always move forward is one of our core principles. That that might sound a bit harsh at times, but I think maybe in the past we've been guilty of winning stuff and then not, literally taking our foot off their necks, it's and letting other teams come back at us. So I'll be quite happy if we're never actually finished and we keep moving forward at all times.
Yeah, I agree.
Here's a question from Andre. Has Mikel Arteta changed anything at the training ground that has mitigated all the injuries we used to get under Arsene Wenger?
No, from what I understand, is Mikel trains them even harder. So
I thought that.
It's just I think one of those things. And the other thing is, I think we do. We're all obsessed with Arsenal. There's plenty of other clubs that get plenty of injuries as well, and we just tend to think, oh, it's just our club. But
sorry, go on, carry on.
I was just going to say, look at Liverpool's front line at the minute, and so it does. Yeah, happen.
Is the Wenger diet still in operation at Arsenal, or has it changed?
It's not in my house, that's for sure. I think nutrition is a massive thing in football now, isn't it? Well, all sports.
Huge, yeah.
So I don't think Wenger's diet is anything out of the norm now for any club. They all have their own sort of private diets that they're on that feels best for them. A lot of players are vegan now, that's a big. I know that's a big thing in the NFL as well in America, the vegan diet. So whether that has any effect, I don't really know, but so that he might have been the first, but it's definitely here to stay.
If we were to win the Premier League title this season, how would that achievement compare to any of the Wenger titles? It's a tricky one. The league, I tell you what, the league is certainly more competitive than I can ever remember. It's not even just a regular top four. You look at, it's not even a top six kind of thing, is it really? But there's a lot of teams competing now.
I think if we can finish above City, then that is a massive achievement. Any time we win the league is a big achievement, and we should if we do it, we should glory in it. So, but then go and do it again next year.
I think what will make a difference about this year is that up until the last, let's just call it, until we beat Man United on the second game, and up until then, there were still many, even Arsenal fans, who were going, we don't really believe this is happening. Like when is it all going to fall apart? But I think we through the season, the belief just started to build and build and build and build, and it's at a point now where there is real belief. You can sense it in the crowds. I mean, I haven't been there, but you can sense it just on television. You can sense it in the way the fans are talking. You can sense it in the ground, the way that the players talk about what's going on. So I think that's what's going to make it different, because when Wenger came, I don't know if it was always just going to be this strange, guy that just came from France and just turned everything around with diets, but it didn't take. It wasn't. It was almost expected once, like the Invincibles were playing, and once we had that team, because they were just beating everyone. They were just such a different sort of contrast type of play. I don't think there was that kind of belief at the beginning of the season. It was all, we'll just wait and see. Wait till we get bigger opposition. Wait till things are going to get, more tough. Okay, well, next game we'll see. But that's for me, I think, is the difference, the way I see it. On the other side,
the way I see it, I mean, at the start of the season, it was trust the process. And I think as fans, we were all getting behind the process, but I don't think we expected the process to be doing this well so quickly. I think, me personally, I was expecting us to really challenge next season. Challenge for the title, that is.
Beginning of last season, most of us couldn't really see what the process was. I mean, I was struggling. I was really struggling at the beginning of last season too. I was trying to stay positive, like most of us, but it was really tough. And then the new signings came in. We start, by that City game, which we did lose 2-1 at home. By then, though, I genuinely believed we got something really special going. And the atmosphere had changed, everything had changed at Arsenal, really. And we just, now I think this is the best I've ever seen an Arsenal team since we've moved to the Emirates.
Yeah, for sure.
I get excited for the game now. I can't wait for the game. I mean, there were times before where I was always, let's hope we can get a result. Here, it's like we're going to be, there's no doubt in my mind just with the way that people are playing. So
looking at how our B team dealt with City on Friday night, I think a lot of City fans are actually scared about us facing them with a full strength team.
Perhaps
they are. Yeah. I've spoken to some. They all tried to rub it in. There are a couple of City fans where I work actually. They did try and rub it in the results, but I was like, well done. You beat us 1-0 at home against our B team. Half of our B team. Anyway, moving on to the quiz. The anagram. Did anyone get the anagram?
Oh crap! Sorry.
Well done.
Yeah.
Any guesses as to who it
is? Yeah. Sorry.
No one got it.
I didn't get it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got that. But,
I didn't get it.
No.
Right. Okay. Question 2. The Arsenal have yet to play the toughest this season, other than when we beat them 2-0 on a pre-season friendly. What were the scores in the 1950-51 season when Everton were last relegated? These were the exact same scores as in the 2003-04 season when Arsenal last won the Premier League title. Is it A, 2-1 and 1-1, B, 2-1 and 1-3, C, 0-1 and 4-3?
It's B.
It's B, is it? Okay. Gavin's going with B. Mark?
Yeah, I think I'll B.
B?
I can't.
Audience? Oh, it is A.
It's A.
Okay.
Right, next question. Right. Xhaka puts a performance in and he's vital in terms of leadership. But for us to go to the next level, we need a player of better quality. I stupidly said this. I also played for the Arsenal twice. Short stint when starting my senior career at the club in the mid-1980s and then rejoined them from Everton in 1993. Second time around, I would make over 300 appearances. After one of these games, I was suspended for 3 matches for getting involved in a post-match scuffle. Who am I?
Martin Keown.
Oh, straight off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
That was quick. Well done, Mark.
Yeah, I love that expression.
Right, the week's ahead.
Zinchenko. Well, the expression anyway.
Yeah.
Everton coming up, then Brentford, City, Villa, Leicester. How many points are we going to take from that? So 15 points on the table.
10.
10.
Cool.
Is that 3 wins, a draw, and a loss?
Yeah.
Are we gonna lose to? We're not gonna lose to City, are we?
I think we might draw with City. So I would go 12.
I think we might draw one of them away games.
Yeah.
The Villa one. I think we'll draw the Villa one.
I might be going to that one.
Yeah, I'll say 13 points. I see us beating City. They've got to give me a birthday present. We beating.
Yeah, I meant 30. Did I say 12? I meant 13.
Yeah, you said 12.
One of them.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 15.
Oh.
Off the charts.
Win them all.
Bring it on, City.
I'll have whatever you're taking these days, Alex.
It will. I tell you what, it will be tough actually playing Brentford, City, and Villa in the space of 7 days. I think that might be tough. But,
yeah,
I'll go with all the wins. Strengthened our squad. Sacedo's incoming tomorrow. You'll see it.
Transfer window is it closed tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow night.
I think it's midnight tomorrow, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay.
Upcoming fixtures: Spurs and City. That would be an interesting one. Are Spurs going to do a full Spurs like they did last time?
Probably.
Against City? Probably.
Yeah.
They're not looking to do us any favours, are they?
Nah.
They're all
we've got the Fulham derby there as well. And Man United and Palace. Do you reckon Palace could cause an upset?
Yeah.
No. I've got to say, Man United do look quite strong with Casemiro.
Yeah, they do, right? But
they are on the up a little bit, aren't they?
Oh, he only had a one-match ban, eh? Oh.
Yeah. It was almost like he was scared to face us.
I saw that yellow card coming, man. It was just inevitable.
We were praying for it. We were praying for it. So Everton coming up. Everton's the next one. Our head-to-head is we've actually lost a few recently against Everton.
Yeah.
Bizarrely, actually. I mean, against the run of play, all sorts of things.
Yeah. When we last played them at their ground, we really didn't look that great, to be honest.
No.
I think we were a bit shell shocked. It was the end of the season, and it's they just...
No, it was midway through the season. It was before Christmas that we faced them at their ground. When we faced them at our ground, they were absolutely dreadful.
Awful.
Yeah, they were awful.
At Goodison, they're strong. So, yeah, I still think we're going to beat them on Saturday for sure.
Yeah, I just worry about the new manager effect, and Dice doesn't like us anyway, and so he'll be sending them out to fight for every. And the Everton crowd, if the Everton crowd gets going, it's pretty. It's a good crowd, but when they turn on them, they're terrible. So what we need to do, I think, is keep them quiet, get the first goal, and then they will turn on the ball again. I think we'll go on and win. But it'll be tough. It's always tough at Goodison.
I think we'll win. I hope we win.
We've already predicted 5 out of 5 anyway. So
that is true. Yeah. So what are your predictions?
I think Mark's right. If we get an early goal, we could go on to get 3. I don't think we can. They've got no one up front that's gonna harm us. I don't think. So I would say 3-0.
3-0. Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to go 3-1 to Arsenal.
To Arsenal, nice. I'm going to go 2-1. Naseem?
I'm actually before I change my mind. I'm actually checking what my prediction is. for on the webpage. I think I had it down as 3-1. I'm sure I had it down as 3-1. And yes, I'm going 3-1 as well.
Right.
So 3-1 for me.
Don't forget, the predictor game is on the Arsenal Cape Town website, arsenalcapetown.coza. Who's leading in that? Is it still Sachin?
The leader, I'm checking the ranking now. I'll tell you now. Yeah, Sachin is still up there. And Sachin, Bennett, and Grant, that's your top 3.
Nice.
And Bevan's back up there. Bevan, who won it last season, Bevan's 4th. So Bevan made a good comeback.
Nice. Well done. Still only halfway through the season. There's time for me yet.
Yeah, there's still time.
Do we have a winner? Do we have a question of the evening?
I think I'm going to give it to. I'll give you. Want to get the question? Yeah, Andre.
Andre,
yeah, Andre. Yeah,
So,
get your prize from Warren.
yeah.
I know you're always at the pub, so meet up with Warren at the pub. And
a choice of prizes, isn't it? It's a beanie or a Pirates voucher or a set of glasses.
Beer yeah,
a set of beer glasses. So yeah, speak to Warren and claim your prize. Well done.
Yep.
And that's it. Don't forget Ronnie's podcast as well. Forgot to mention that at the beginning of the show. That'll be on the website for all things Arsenal. And that is it. Thanks very much for coming on the show, Mark and Gavin.
Not a problem.
To have you on.
Only a pleasure. Anytime, guys.
Good to see you guys.
Thanks. Great show, guys.
A lot. Thanks for all the responses and the comments during the show. Awesome. Thanks, guys. And we'll see you next week.
Okay.
Cheers.
Yep. After the Everton win.
Come and see me at Villa, Alex.
I will do.
I'll be outside the away end. All right.
Nice one. Awesome.
All right, mate.
Thanks, Mark.
See you later.
Cheers.
Cheers.